Butterfly, butterfly, pretty butterfly. When I see you flap your wing, I know when it's time for spring. Butterfly, butterfly, pretty butterfly.
Hi again and welcome back to Honest Participants Only. You will all see that my guest is smiling right now because I'm talking in my intro. We are in the studio today because we're going to be talking about, we're not going to be talking about Black History Month. We're doing this for Black History Month, and our theme for these series, I don't know why I'm getting tongue-tied.
That's fine.
The theme for this series is creating Black history. So instead of looking at the history that the people who have gone, so Martin Luther King and all the important people as a part of our history, I want to talk about us creating history that future generations can look back on. That's a really important part because we need to understand the impact we're having. Today I have with me Lejaun Sheppard. Is that how you're meant to say your name? Lejaun.
Lejaun.
And I've known him for most of his life.
Yeah.
And I've always just called him Lejaun. But today I want to be posh because
tried it.
He is an actor, a singer, a writer, a creative. Before we jump into it, I want to share something with him and you because I don't think he has seen this for a long time. So let's have some fun. Oh dear, let's press play.
Oh no! I miss them sunglasses to be fair.
We know each other. What do you mean? You're my sister.
Wow.
What do you do? My sister, I'm an actor. She's acting. What have you been in? Wait, train. I'm not in camera.
So I'm going to stop us there, right? Because I want to say the whole reason I played that clip, I was looking for something entirely different last night and came across it because it's on my YouTube. Now, to give everybody else some context, I had gotten a new mic and we were going out on a picnic and I was like, guys, I'm going to bring my mic. How about I do some filming and test this mic? As you can hear, there was a lot of background noise or whatever. So the video quality the video was great. The interview was fantastic. We had the best time. But the quality, because of the mic, I was testing it out, wasn't as good as it could have been. But this is what came out of it. It is on my YouTube channel. Feel free to go and watch it, like, subscribe, whatever. But the reason I wanted to play that part of the clip to you is because your sister asked you, she said, I asked you, what do you do? And you said, I'm an actor. And your sister turned to you and she said, what have you been in? And you then went on to say that you were trained and that you, not yet, you're on your way.
Yeah.
Now, I want to let people know you have been in.
Oh, get it!
You are now like, who is this guy? Who is this guy? If it ever comes up,
look at this.
Look at this big man in these streets. Like you can go back to Tony and say to her, if you want to find me, sis, contact me through my agent. That's what you can say.
That is so.
I did some research. I was like, yep, he's out in these streets. And you're about to be in the London premiere of
Little Women, yeah.
Yes. I am so excited because I love the movie, I love the book, and it is fantastic. So thank you for bearing with my little.
No, brilliant.
So much fun. So what I'll say to you is, as much as we can celebrate you, we can celebrate your achievements and that kind of thing. Talking about it for Black History Month, I wanted to touch base with you because you're in the creative industry, you're in the arts, and I wanted to talk about this episode is entitled A Small Ripple, Lived Experience and Its Impact. So 2 ways that I want to do this. I want to talk about your experience as a Black man in the creative industries and in the arts. But then also, you and I had a creative meeting a few weeks ago, and you shared with me an experience that you went through. You were on a train and you were in the proximity of some not nice language, some not nice language. I'm just
Yeah.
going to leave it there. So
Yeah.
can you kick us off by first of all introducing yourself properly now, and then also by just telling us that story.
Yeah, sure. Again, hello everyone. My name is Lejaun Sheppard. What is there to do? I'm an actor. I'm a singer. I've done predominantly musical theatre now for the last 5 years, including a pandemic. But let's forget that happened. For the past 5-ish years, on the West End and around the country. I trained at Guildford School of Acting. I love to sing. I love to act. I love to perform. I think it's the big asterisk next to my name. I'm a performer. This incident occurred, I want to say maybe like a month or two ago now, if I remember correctly. It was me and my girlfriend. We were heading into central London to eat or to go see a show or something. And we're getting on the train at East Croydon and was walking through to get to the front of the train, and there was a little old white guy, and he was just mumbling and grumbling and shouting to himself. And I had headphones in at the time, and I think my girlfriend was on the phone at the time. Joelle, she was on the phone at the time, so she wasn't paying attention. I had my headphones in so I could hear the odd word or whatever. But as I got closer, I got louder and louder, and then I realised that he was. I missed whatever altercation that happened between him and there was a black man on the platform. I missed that altercation, but the little white guy was uttering some. He was just saying some awful stuff, just hurling racist abuse towards this particular black guy and just black people in general, because the guy was long gone and he was still kept going on, black this, a lot of worse language, but I'm going to keep it PG for now. But yeah, just awful stuff. And I was walking through the platform and I was like, do you know what I mean? This is the first thing in the morning for me, just being bombarded by this language. It's very triggering. So I stopped. You know what I mean? I didn't know what to do. Like I started feeling my blood going. I was just like, I took a breath and I walked on, and I didn't know if that was the right thing to do. I didn't know whether I should have confronted him and said, no, that's wrong, you shouldn't be doing that. And I didn't know, because the way I felt, I didn't think I would have been able to articulate it correctly, and then I would have come across as another angry, another violent black guy. So I was like, and this all happened in like a space of a fraction of a second, this thought process, because it does happen that quickly. And I walked on. I think before I walked on, I locked eyes with another passenger on the train, another white guy, an older white gentleman, and I locked eyes with him, and I turned my head and I walked on. I walked right down to the bottom of the train. Again, Joel was oblivious to all of this; she's still on the phone, and you know, when something like that happens to you, when you witness something like that, you can't help but let it infect you. Do you know what I mean? It's very difficult to shift that negative energy that just gets seeped into you. So I think my mood just took a nosedive, and I was just a bit whatever, just not in the greatest of moods. We got all the way to London Bridge. We came off our train, changed platforms, went up to the next platform to get to a train to Charing Cross. And so mid-conversation with Joelle, I think we were talking about the incident because, again, she was on the phone for the majority of this time. She's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I didn't hear it. I didn't know. Like, I'm sorry that that's put you in such a bad mood. I'm sorry you had to put up with all of that. And next thing I know, I get a tap on the shoulder or just someone's just like next to me. I'm just like people don't talk to each other in London. So this is,
And we're in the middle of a pandemic. Don't touch me.
you know what I mean? So I was like, what is going on? And it was the same little white guy that I locked. That sounds so. It was the same man that I locked eyes with on the train, and he looked me in the eyes and he said, "What was that all about?" And I was like, "Oh, yeah, I have no idea." I heard him saying that awful language, and do you know what I mean? I stopped. So I was gonna say something to him, but then I was like, I didn't feel as though. Again, reiterating what I said before, I didn't feel as though I could articulate. I would have just got angry and I would have made the situation worse, blah, 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 blah. And he was like, no, yeah, that was awful. He sat down like next to me on the other side of the carriage, and I sat there and I said to him, I said, you can't talk like that. You can't speak to people like that. You can't speak about people like that. That's so wrong. You need to stop. You can't do that. And apparently the other guy just shrugged him off. Oh, whatever. It's like, no, you can't. You really can't say that. And then he said something. I don't want to be paraphrasing too much, but I think he said something along the lines like, "Yeah, no, I told him that's not on, and you know, I hope you have a good day." And like, it was just nice. It was just, I don't know. It was very surprising and. It's very nice to be seen, because then he said, all right, have a good day, see you later. I said, have a good day, mate. He turned around, walked away, and he walked all the way back down the escalator. So this man followed us from our carriage all the way across 2, 3, 4 platforms, came all the way up the escalators. And London Bridge is big, do you know what I mean? Like, he's not no sprightly young man. So he's followed us all this way just to say to us that he had a conversation with the man. He did what I, in that moment, couldn't do, and tried to re-educate this person who was spewing nonsense. And he came to tell me that he did that, and he came to basically just be like, look, listen, don't let this be the one thing you remember today. Don't let this ruin your day. Don't let this be the thing that looms over you for the rest of the day. Let my interaction with you be the thing. Do you know what I mean? That gives you at least a bit of hope. And yeah, and he went on his merry way. And it was just for him. I think this is the conversation we had. For him to come over to me. Do you know what I mean? I'm not that I'm a thug or anything, but I think when you're
far from it.
No, not exactly. But I think when you're, as I said before, I was in a foul mood. I was in an awful mood. I think that just automatically breeds, like, your body language changes, your energy changes, the energy that I'm putting out changes. And for him to still feel the need, he doesn't know me, for him to still feel the need and still be, don't know if it's the right word, but brave enough to come over and be like, look, listen, that was awful. I don't know what he was trying to achieve by coming over, but it was
that was going to be my question to you. What do you think he was trying to achieve? Not that you could ever know, but the reason I was even going to ask it is because so many of us in our community are skeptics, and rightly so, right? People have their own agendas or their own motivations. They might want to look like they're saving us, or he might have wanted you to know so that you could pat him on the back or whatever. Every interaction we have like that has to be based on its own merit. So from the conversation we had when you first told me this story, your energy, or the energy he gave off, impacted your energy because it made you feel that he was authentic. He did that thing. He could have done it and not told you. He could have ignored it because you got off the train. He could have just got home and said to the Mrs. or Mr., I saw this thing today, it was trash. and kept it moving, you would never have known. You wouldn't have been impacted. You would only have been impacted by that negative experience. So many other people, that ripple again. The theme of today's episode is a small ripple. So many people could probably have been impacted. So Joelle was then impacted because she had this interaction, a white man coming to a black man and saying, this isn't it, this isn't okay. Other people on the platform, other people on the train after you got off, who saw him have that or after you moved down the train, who saw him say that's not on. There is this ripple that happens when we speak up, even if it's not about race, when we speak up on behalf of, and not because we want accolades and celebrations. And it really, on the day when we spoke about it, you said it really did change your mindset for the rest of your experience while you were out, because what had happened threatened the mood of your evening.
Yeah, I think the reason it changed it is because it hadn't resolved itself until. Do you know what I mean? Until he came over and said it's resolved. Do you know what I mean? Like because I chose not to confront and resolve it myself, I would have left that altercation and would have just had that scenario running in my head like for the rest of the day, and would have had in my head, I should have said this, I should have done that, and that would have, do you know what I mean? That would have perpetuated my awful mood. But it was the fact that I had that running in my head, and I changed platforms, I was still there, and someone outside, or no, he wasn't even outside, someone who was witnessed to that altercation, by him coming over and saying, look, I did this and that. I'm not saying I've saved the day. I'm not saying I've not changed this person's mind on race or how you should talk to people, but I've said this is wrong. By him doing that, he's resolved that thing in my head. Do you know what I mean? That I should have done this, I should have done that. He's done the shoulda, woulda, coulda. So I'm like, okay, cool. So now the last thing I remember of that whole experience is him. Do you know what I mean? It's him, and it is sorted. It's done. It's squashed. And yeah, I think that is why my mood shifted, because again, I think yes, he was like the genuine article. He wasn't there shouting about it. He wasn't, oh, look at me, I'm telling everyone. Do you know what I mean? It's not that. He came over to me very quietly, hi, yeah, sorry. No, I saw what happened on the train, and that was awful. I told him he shouldn't be speaking like that. Are you all right? That's really, do you know what I mean? It was that's how we were talking. We were talking like two equals who had just witnessed something horrible, and he was, do you know what I mean? And it was, I don't know, I think we take for granted how little we have to do to make people feel seen, and to make people feel better. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't have to take loads to make your fellow man feel seen, I guess. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And valid.
Yeah. And this is kind of what I wanted to touch on, because although this was a unique experience and it was current when we were having the conversation, and that's why it came up, we experience these microaggressions or macroaggressions all the time. We have to choose in every moment whether we acknowledge, ignore, confront, dismiss, compartmentalize, any list of words. We have to do that all the time. And in the arts, in the creative industries, you're already dealing with, and feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't know the numbers or the data exactly on this, but you're already dealing with the fact that you're going for roles and what are the stats? Not numbers in terms of what's the percentage, but how much harder is it for you going for a role first of all on like a major Broadway show? Is there some difficulty because of your race, or is it like no, we're all equal, I can go and get what I want? Before I ask the question, well, let's discuss that.
It's a tricky one because I think at the historically, I can only speak on the West End. So historically on the West End, there are at the risk of being crude, there are black shows and there are white shows.
Right.
And there's about, at any given time, there's normally about 2 or 3 black shows. Lion King's been here forever, so there's at least always one. And then the rest are quote unquote white shows. So the black shows being Lion King, as I said before, Motown, Tina, the Book of Mormon, and then the white shows being literally kind of everything else. It's only very recently that there's been like a push and an outcry of, listen, the reason that Tina is, or the reason that a lot of these black shows have predominantly black casts is because a lot of the stories that we're allowed to tell, we being black people, a lot of stories that we are allowed to tell that get commercial funding and, that do see the light of day, get put on stage, are more often than not stories that revolve around the black experience and the black lived experience and what that is when it comes to race, when it comes to that stops there. It's our stories, exactly. Our stories comes down to, oh, you're black, so you're a slave, or you're oppressed, or you're, do you know what I mean? Those are exactly, you're poor, or you've got trauma. It's all our blackness is like the crux of the story. Is the core. You couldn't swap that person out for anyone else. But a lot of these other shows, that's not whiteness that is on display. In Les Mis, it's not whiteness on display in Les Mis. Jean Valjean is not a white man. Do you know what I mean? Jean Valjean is a man who, through tragic circumstances, finds himself running from the law. If anything, that's a black man's story. Do you know what I mean? You know what I mean?
A black man can play that so well, and in fact, as we're here, I know a black man who did.
Oh, stop! But yeah, do you know what I mean? So I think that was historically how things went. Things have been changing for the better. For example, I'm about to go into Little Women. And again, you'd probably look at that show and you'd probably say, white show. Do you know what I mean? And it's very funny. I saw one of my co-stars. I don't know her yet, and she tweeted. I'm going to paraphrase it because I don't remember it specifically, but she tweeted, her theatre school, her drama school, did Little Women. They had auditions for Little Women when she was at the school, and she was like, I didn't audition because I didn't see a part for me in that show. And lo and behold, here she is now on the London debut of this show, as one of the sisters. I think she's playing Amy March. She's like, it's very funny how things come full circle. Do you know what I mean? From going from, oh no, I can never be in a show like that, to, oh, I'm opening it in London. Do you know what I mean? So she's a mixed race, I believe she's a mixed race girl. And yeah, it was just this industry is a funny one. Basically, long story short, there are very few and far between, because what really comes down to it, there's very few black producers. There's very few producers that aren't white, I should say. And And I think even the most well-intentioned producer will miss things that a black person wouldn't, or an Asian person wouldn't, if they were in that same position. So, for example, we did a. Should I say this? Yeah, it's fine.
Go on.
No, I'm not even cussing them
I'll
out.
cut it out. I'll cut it out.
No, I'm not even cussing them out. For example, I won't be. I'll leave it ambiguous. There was a show, and one of the characters in the show is. I think I said this at Grandma's. There's a character in the show, and he's written as Redbone. Redbone being like light skin, like of a lighter complexion. Still a black man, just of a lighter complexion. Listed as Redbone, and like the whole subtext of his character description, it goes into another very important issue in our community when it comes to colorism and, you know, grading people. You'll see more worth the more lighter you are, and seeing less the darker you are. And it was this is a very crucial part of this character. The producers and the casting directors cast the show, and the person they chose to be that character was dark like me, very dark-skinned person. I think apparently the writer came in to, you know, and why the writer wasn't involved in the casting process in however small or big, but I'll never know. That blows my mind, but they weren't involved. And yeah, basically his character had to be kind of rewritten. All of that storyline, that colorism, which is again very important in our community, had to kind of be scrubbed out because the person who they found for the part wasn't it. And hey, maybe every light-skinned person they brought in for the part was rubbish. Do you know what I mean? Maybe that was the case, and they just had to, you know, lesser of two evils. Let me just get this person who's very good, he's a very capable actor, you can do the job. But yeah.
Let me stop you there. I love the story, and I love the point you just made. But actually, do
you know what I mean?
Is the story being told? Is that thing that's so important in our community about colorism, that thread of it going through that character, important enough that you would go and do, like, if you can't find the right person now, try again or whatever. How important was it to the producers that they were like, oh, well, we'll just rewrite it? You're right. Maybe it was, none of the people that came in, but also how easy was it for you to make the decision to kind of throw away that part of the character?
Yeah,
because when we experience colorism, and you will have experienced it on a different level to me, and I will have experienced it on a different level to the next one, and whatever. Yeah. When we experience colorism, it forms our character.
100.
A lot of who we are today is based on the experiences we had, 100%. Based on other people's view, whether it be people in our community, people outside of our community, people at school, professionally, whatever. All of the worldviews that people have of us, just based on the color of our skin, impact our character. Mm-hmm. Even if it's that we are then going to throw away all of that and I refuse to be minimized or belittled, that built character because of those experiences. Yeah. So for them to then just be like, oh, well, we'll just rewrite it. And I'm not saying that was their attitude. And again, I don't know all of that. Yeah. But it's bothersome. Because, you know, the theme of our show today is, of this series is creating Black history. Mm-hmm. When we're creating that history, when we're casting for those roles, when we've gone through the pain of writing something that includes experiences that people will feel represented by, yeah, it just bothers me that would be removed. And this is just one experience. This is just one you're retelling. But if I spoke to a range of people of races on Broadway, on, you know, the stage at the West End and whatever, I'm sure it's not going to be the exception.
For sure. I think, yeah, we've got our industry's got a long way to go. I always say, because even when I was touched on before, with the fact that I'm playing Joe March, not Joe March. Wow, I'm playing John Brooke. Wow,
Listen,
imagine.
if
I mean,
they
I
are
did a great
that
job.
progressive,
I was
then
a
we
great
celebrate
job.
that. I just don't know how good a job you do. That's the problem. It's not that they can't have a guy. Don't know if you're
I'm-
ready.
I'm going to be playing John Brooke. And again, as we established before, whether you like it or not, historically, Little Women was probably seen as. And again, no, let me say this from. I'm going to say I'm not going to talk about no one else. I'm talking about my perspective. Little Women to me, before I got the job, is a white show. So for me to have got it, I remember I went to the audition room, which was like one of the first auditions in like face to face since like the pandemic and everything. So that was a very interesting whole thing in its own right. I remember feeling at ease like almost immediately. Funny enough, I think that's not really talking about on Black history, but I think funny enough that was because the producer, the director, and the casting director were all women, and I think that like the energy is different. Do you know what I mean? And I think I walked in a little bit nervous, and I was like, "Oh, okay, like cool. Like let's play. Let's see what's what." I'm trying to think of another story. I had another one. Look, listen. This industry has got a long way to go. It's making big strides in the right direction, but I think what they're now falling into the trap of, which they've not left the trap, is tokenism, which is a whole nother.
We
Do you know
got
what
an
I mean?
episode coming up on that. I don't know if it will have gone out before or after, but
Right.
absolutely, it's so important. We can't not discuss it.
Because that's what it comes to. Because yes, Black people, Black Lives Matter. We've been shouting quite loudly for many years about equality in the workplace, equality in our lives, equality, just equality, and how our lived experience, our experience, we're under threat constantly. So that noise has got through into my industry, but what it often turns into is, that one person in the ensemble. We can make them Black. And everyone else. Do you know what I mean? Everyone else is white and does whatever. But like, we can. That one bit part, they can be the Black person.
Right.
They can be Black.
But also, we're not going to rewrite that role to be the experience of a Black person. The Black person will literally just be standing in for a person who's not Black.
Yeah.
And so if that person, their experience is that they don't even know that they're Black, then that's how the role's going to be. It's never going to be mentioned. And I think sometimes we speak about the arts, and you're obviously an actor, writer, creative, whatever. But I think it also starts way before. It starts from the writing and the consideration of that and the casting. And it's the whole process that needs to acknowledge that the experience isn't less or worse. And most of our experience is actually pretty much the same, because before you're a Black man, you can identify with someone on being a man. And then you're like, right, this is how we separate ourselves out as well. But if you've just got a room full of men, I'm not going to walk in and go, oh, they're a room full of men of all colours of the rainbow. I'm just going to say they're a room full of men over there. Right? But to acknowledge that room full of men all have different experiences, but just to be like, no, I'll just take that one over there. He can act the same part. He can act the same part. He can act the same part. In my story is I think a little bit short-sighted. You said something before. You said, I walked in and I felt immediately at ease. And you spoke about it being because you acknowledged or recognized it was because there were 3 women in major, powerful roles, and that did something for you. What I want to know is, what even made you think that you could go and audition for Little Women, being a traditionally all-white show. Like, what made you think that this was a possibility for you?
Listen, I didn't. There was my agent had a conversation before I finished Tina, before the pandemic, before the West End went dark for 15, 18 months, however long it was. We had a conversation that, you know, I wanted to have a bit of a gear change. I didn't really want to do. Basically, I didn't want to do more. I wanted to diversify my career. So a lot of the jobs in the West End tend to be year-long contracts. That's what you're contracted to do, a year-long show. And I was like, imagine the things I could do if I wasn't tied into a year-long contract. So these shorter contracts, more varied jobs is something that I'm more interested in being a part of. So again, a lot of things came my way during the pandemic, and auditioned for a lot, taped a lot of stuff, and Little Women came through, and I looked at it. I looked at the run. I was like, it feels it. It's at a really cool, or it's at a really good part of the year, towards the end of the year. So there's not really anything else on bar Panto, and I don't really want to do Panto. So it was, and
no disrespect to Bradley Walsh.
hey, Bradley Walsh is getting his money. Don't worry about Bradley Walsh. Don't worry about Bradley Walsh. If I was getting Bradley Walsh's money, I'm there, but I'm not. So don't want to do Panto. It's at a prestigious theatre that I've never been at, and that's good to get on the CV. So I was like, look, listen, I'd never been seen by these particular producers, so I was like, I'm just gonna the amount of auditions you get, and you're just like, look, just tape, just do it, and we'll go from there. And that's basically the attitude. I'm not saying that I did a half-assed job. I'm not saying that I didn't do my bit or I didn't work. I worked, and learned the bits and gave a good performance. But to keep yourself sane in this industry, you have to do it and forget it. You have to, it's done now. I can't be sitting, when am I going to hear back? Because I've done that, and it is long. It is long. So you have to just do it, throw it away, go make yourself a cup of tea, go whatever. You can't dwell. That's exactly what I did. Like anything else, I didn't expect to get for them to get back to me, because again, it's Little Women is like a legit musical. Legit being how do you describe legit?
Tried and tested already. You know it's going to be successful.
No, as in the style of music. So and that's just not me. I grew up in church. The way my things are set up, I can give you R&B, I can give you gospel, I can give you that kind of sound in my sleep. Legit is not a sound that I'm used to making, that I know how to, that I can just pull out like that. Do you know what I mean? So I went in very apprehensive. I did the tape, and again I threw it away. I didn't hear nothing back for I think a good week, and then I got a really snap. Oh hi, can we see your client tomorrow? If that's all right. I was like, we've got a recall. Went in the room, and again it was all a bit of a whirlwind. I was like, oh yeah, sure. I kind of forgotten about it. I was like, yeah, okay, whatever. But went in the room. It was lovely. I did a good audition, and I got home, and probably within an hour of me being back in the flat, I got a call from my agent saying I got the job. And yeah, I think you asked me why did I think I should have I had the right to audition for it. I didn't, but you just do. You know what I mean? Whether you think you're worthy of it or not, exactly. Whether you think you're worthy of it or not, or whether you think you're it's for you or not, or like, oh, I don't know if I, for us in our industry, you just have to do it. You just have to rise to the challenge and be like, okay, this is out of my wheelhouse, out of my comfort zone. But who's to say I can't? Who's to say I shouldn't? Do you know what I mean? Like, so I went through it and I got it, and I'm very chuffed and I'm very excited. I start rehearsals Monday coming, so I'm very excited to meet everyone else and just crack on with it. But
I
no idea what to expect. No idea what to
I'm
expect.
so happy. I'm so happy about it. And hearing the background of it makes me even more kind of gassed about it. And it brings it back to, I was pointing down below to creating Black history, because I think a lot of creating Black history, in wrapping up our interview, creating Black history is about changing mindsets. And so that question about how comes you had the audacity is exactly the kind of thing that people need to hear about, because we all need to have the audacity to think that we can. Because in 10 years' time, and I've been saying this in all of the interviews, in 10 years' time, when we look back and have this conversation, we're hoping that we will have inspired others to have the audacity, right? To think that you can, to look at the casting, look at the script, look at what has come before and say, but this time might be different.
Definitely.
And I think that is a big part of our Black history. It's a big part of the future generations' history that will come. And as hard as it can sometimes be climbing up that hill and being pushed back down time and time again, like, what makes you think it was you? As long as we keep verbalizing these things in spaces like this, hopefully someone else will be inspired to do what you did. Yeah.
No, for sure.
So what would you say, last question then, so what would you say to people who, I mean, I know we started off with your story and your experience, but that was just, we wanted to hang it on something that led us into how it feels to be us sometimes. And it's too important a story not to share. But what would you say to other creatives in the arts, specifically actors and singers in the arts who just want to make their mark? What might you say to them?
Just know your worth. Do you know what I mean? Like, I am equal parts humble and big-headed. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not a diva. I know that I've got loads to learn. I know that the place that I am at in my career at the moment is not where I want to be, and I recognize that I need to defer some of my sometimes defer an opinion or defer to someone who might know better than me. Not defer my opinion. My opinion will always be heard, but I'd always have an ear and open mind and always listen to my my colleagues who are on that next rung of the ladder, and my colleagues who are next to me and my colleagues who are beneath me. I'll always listen to all the different perspectives. So yeah, I'm incredibly humble, and I would always I don't know it all, but also I'm incredibly big-headed. I think I'm brilliant. Do you know what I mean? Without sounding like an idiot. You have to have that to do what we do, because it's 98% of the time it's a rejection. It's no, go away, do better. You have to have that core belief that you are amazing. And I do. And that doesn't mean you don't train, you don't work harder to better yourself, to make your craft even more slick and even more polished. But you have to have that underlying. Look, I knew I wanted to be an actor before I knew I wanted to be an actor. I would watch people like Will Smith on TV, and I'd be watching it and I'd be mouthing along next to him and be like, I can do that better than him. Do you know what I mean? What right do I have to say that as a 6-year-old child, but you have to have that mentality and take that with you wherever you go. Again, that doesn't mean you have to be mean, or yet you have to be bullish and my way or the highway. That doesn't create a good working environment. You won't work like that. But to make your mark, you have to, I believe anyway, you have to have, your base must be on a pure belief on what you can do in this industry. Whether you're acting, whether you're singing, whether you're writing, you have to be like, hey, listen, what I've got is money, is fireworks, is amazing. And every time someone tells you you're rubbish, go away, whatever, be like, okay, watch and see, and then go again. There's no other way. Yeah, there might be more, intelligent angles and whatever, but I think it has to be a core fire you have inside you. That's because then you will only leave a mark. Because even God forbid, I don't reach the stars that I want to reach and reach the goals that I want to reach. The people who I work with and I have worked with will always remember, that Lejaun guy. He was, do you know what I mean? He had his voice or his presence, or you're always going to remember something in a positive way. Do you know what I mean? Because you have to have that thing inside you that just propels you forward. So I don't know if I answered your question or not, but I think that is, yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely a quotable in there. Yeah. Oh, thank you so much for being here with me today.
Thank you.
Where can the people find you?
Oh, shame. Yeah, I guess you can follow me on Twitter at LEJ_SHE. I mostly just tweet things that I find either funny or, to be fair, I tweet a lot of just black anything. Anytime I see anyone black doing something cool, I often tweet or retweet it. So yeah, follow me.
Looking out for my retweets then.
Oh yeah, 100%. You wait and see. Wait and see.
Oh, that's amazing. I so appreciate you being here. And I appreciate you helping me to create Black history, because that's really, really important for us. So thank you for being on Honest Participants Only. Thank you for being an honest participant.
Thank you.
And cheers to more.
Here we go. Hope it didn't waffle too much. I'm a serial waffler.
All good in this hood.
Yeah.
Butterfly, butterfly, pretty butterfly. When I see you flap your wing, I know when it's time for spring. Butterfly, butterfly, pretty butterfly.